Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Margaret Gordon. I am a training and implementation specialist, and we are going to be talking about the letter module. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. I know people are joining, so give everybody a couple of minutes. Awesome. Looks like we got some people joining. Thank you guys for joining us today. My name is Margaret Gordon. I'm a training and implementation specialist at Therap, and I'm joined by my colleague Connie O'Neill, who's also a training and implementation specialist. So we're on the support team, and I'm going to be talking about Therap's letter module today. Before we really dive on into the information about this module, I do want to show you guys our disclaimer slide. If you've been on any of our other webinars, you've probably seen this before by now. And in addition, want to show our retention of rights, which protects our intellectual property. So now that that's kind of out of the way, we got the legal stuff done, if you will. Want to talk a bit about this letter module, the workflow of the letter module. So what this module is kind of designed for, the way it functions is it gives you the ability to create templates. So you have the ability to create templates, and that can be potentially for maybe upcoming annual meetings or requesting documentation from individuals or their families. And it lets you generate those letters based on the template, and you can indicate that they've been marked as sent. You can generate them from kind of the web, which I'll go through today, or a Word document. So it can be a really helpful tool for those who send out a lot of information to individuals at your agency, and we'll kind of get into the nuts and bolts of this module as well. For just kind of some quick housekeeping, feel free to utilize the Q&A section. Connie will be monitoring that section and letting me know if I've missed any questions or comments or things like that, but we'd love to hear from you. So if you have any, really creative ideas of the way you're using this module or questions, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. So just want to mention that to you guys. So again, here's just kind of an example. We'll get into seeing some of these different examples here, but here you're kind of seeing an example of an annual support plan meeting. It's going to be held, so kind of providing that information to family, relatives, guardians. And again, the content of this letter can really vary depending upon the needs of your agency. So just kind of wanted to provide an example here. I'll show you a few others in our system. There are a few roles associated with this module. If you guys do have the letter module or are interested in acquiring the letter module, you will need a user privilege, and that's the letter template. So that's going to give the ability to create those letter templates as well as access any of those existing ones. And that's an agency-wide role, and I'll point out where that is for those of you who might not be familiar. In addition, we also have a super role, and that's the letter here, just one role for that. And that just gives access to those letter modules. It doesn't let users edit or access any of the templates. It's really just saying, the templates are good to go, that they're set up the way we want them, but we just want, these staff or these users to access the letter module and apply the templates essentially. And that super role is caseload based. So just want to point out kind of the differences in that super role versus user privileges. So definitely some roles that are important. And what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to hop on into Therap. And I am already logged in, which is perfect. So I'm logged into just a fictitious demo account, just so you guys know, no PHI in here. So again, just want to point out quickly where those privileges are. So user privileges and manage on my admin tab. I'm going to find my name. And under those administrative roles, I'm seeing that letter template. So again, that's access to those templates, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. I'm going to go back to my dashboard and hopping into my super role. Again, on my admin tab, I'm just going to take a look at super role here. We'll just open up a brand new one. Again, these are all of our modules in alphabetical order. So there is that letter module role. So again, just wanted to point out where those were in the system in case you didn't already know. So wanted to point those out. And for those of you who are potentially interested in acquiring this module, maybe you don't have it yet, you're thinking about getting it, feel free to reach out to us, chat with us. I mean, if you're not sure who to reach out to, we'd be happy to help you find who that person is. So diving on in to the letter templates, I am going to do that from my admin tab. So I'm going to hop on in looking for that letter template, and I'm going to go to my list first and foremost, just so you can kind of take a look at what's in my system here. So I'm seeing both discontinued and what we consider published or active letter templates in the system. And I'm going to select this meeting invitation so you can kind of see this information here. I'm going to zoom in just a bit more. So we'll go through this kind of creating one from scratch, but I always like to show kind of a completed one to see what you're working towards. If you're thinking this looks pretty simple, it really is, in fact, an easy module to use. I simply have to give this a name. I'm indicating whether this is done via the web, where I'm just manually typing this information in here, or if it's done via Word document. So that's another thing I'll point out to you guys. You can pull this from a Word document if needed. So I'm indicating, right, this subject line as well as that greeting here. So you're seeing just this word recipient, and what that's going to do is autofill with the recipient of who you're sending this to. So it can pull from individual contacts on that individual demographic form, that IDF for short. So you can use some of these keywords like recipient or user as your kind of salutation and signatures. Another cool thing about the letter module is you have the ability to use both fixed and custom content. So here you're seeing kind of this fixed content about, we'd like to invite you to this meeting for, individual, whatever that individual's name is. And then the custom content, right, is something that's going to change. So here you're seeing something back from 2013, right? These dates likely are going to change based on the individual. So you want to give the users who have access to the letter module the ability to put in those dates and customize them kind of as it varies per individuals. So the great thing is you can include any of that fixed content that you know is not going to change, and then customize any of this information as needed. So again, seeing some of this information, I can always discontinue this if needed, but I'm simply going to go back here and let's put in a new one. Let's create a new template here so we can walk through that process. So I put in a new letter template, again, on my admin tab, and here's that note at the top. I kind of mentioned this, but you can use individual, recipient, or user, and it's going to replace those with those names there. So kind of a cool feature of this module here. The template name, I'm going to do a documentation request. So maybe we're requesting some documents. We need some of that information from the families, from guardians, from the individuals. So I'm going to show you the web template, but I do have the ability, again, like I mentioned, for the Word template. And I'm going to pause quickly because I do see that there is a question about the cost, which is a great question, Lindsay. I am on the support team and as of now do not have that cost information, but can absolutely put you in touch with your business development consultant who can provide you with information such as pricing, things like that. Yeah, no problem. If you actually, Lindsay, want to put in your email address, I'd be happy in that comment section or Q&A, I'd be happy to forward that along to your sales rep.
And your
Good
state, Lindsay,
questions.
your provider code, if you could enter that as well, that would be great.
So I'm going to do this word template here, excuse me, web template, but I do just want to show you what the word template looks like. It kind of changes things. Here you're seeing that some more information as to making sure this is all kind of lines up correctly here. It does provide you with this sample, and I'm going to show you that just so you can kind of see that information. So here's kind of a preview, essentially, right? How this can look, gives you kind of a sample file to take a look at here. And you can CC anybody. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of these headers and footers momentarily. So again, can certainly use the file and upload a file using some of these insert the following, gives you that information. Personally, I like the web template. I think it's really easy to use. So just switch back over to the web to kind of show you that. We can put that in as we do this now. So for my subject, I'm just going to indicate again, kind of this is just a documentation request. And I'm going to start this off with dear. I'm going to say recipient. And I just copy and paste and individual. So again, kind of starting that information out here. So this content type, remember I touched a little bit about this fixed content versus this custom content. Oops, sorry. So you can have both if you'd like. If you'd prefer just one or the other, you could certainly do that. And then you're indicating the order in which this goes in. So is the fixed content before the custom or after the custom? So I'm going to come back to this, but I'm just, let's say our and I will keep this short and sweet so you don't have to watch me type for too long. And in my custom content, I'm going to just kind of put in a note for staff to say, right, list the forms needed. Because the nice thing is I could delegate some of this to managers, supervisors, whatever it may be. I'm saying, okay, here's the template in place, but kind of depending upon what's needed, list those different forms needed. And you do have some formatting options. Didn't mean to skip over that too much. So absolutely can format this as needed in this section here. And in my closing, I'm going to indicate where these forms need to be sent. I'm going to keep my examples pretty simple here. So again, can provide any of this different information here. These are just kind of some examples. I'll show you a few more momentarily. And then my signature, I'm going to say thank you. And I'm going to do, oops, user. So before I save this, I'm going to come back up because I want to make sure this order is correct. So again, it just kind of defaults to after custom. So if you want that in a different order, if you want this fixed content, our records indicate we need the following forms. I would like that before the list of the forms, just so it kind of flows a little bit better. So I'm going to say I would like both. And I would like this fixed content to come before, right? So it's going to start with my kind of my greeting here, this content, the custom content, and then my closing and signature. And then of course, maybe I could add, we appreciate your assistance with this. All right. So I have two options: save if I need to come back to this, publish if I feel like this is essentially ready to go. So I'll go ahead and publish this. I'm going to say I like the way this looks. So I'm going to go back and view that template. So here's that template, just kind of zooming in so you can see a bit better what this looks like. Of course, I could always discontinue it if needed. So publish is essentially like approve. If you're a Therap user, been using Therap for a while, you think of like ISP programs kind of approving it as publishing it. The same thing there, saying it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do at this point is, again, can always create as many templates as needed. I can create new, I can go to my list. I mean, I think these can really come in handy for maybe some special events that you or your agency is hosting or leading or attending. I think if you provide day services or day programming, you can indicate any day program closures. I know that was something personally that the agency I worked at previously, we sent a lot of information out about that. So lots of different uses for this module in terms of what you could use the letters for. So before we hop on into actually creating a letter for a particular person, I want to hop into these provider preferences, because one nice thing about this is I'm going to scroll on down kind of towards the bottom of this provider preferences, is you can actually put in letterhead. So if I scroll down, I can see I already have some in here. It's just kind of a header and a footer. Of course, I could always, add or remove those. One thing to note about this is it does need to be in this JPEG format. I know personally that I typically received it in like a PDF format or Word format, but you do need to change that to JPEG. And I just did a quick Google search as to how to do that. You can take a screenshot or save it as a different type of format there. So again, can just add those by uploading those images from the device I'm on. Certainly optional. I do not have to do this, but you certainly could if you wanted to have that letterhead at the top. And then of course I would want to make sure I save that if I made any changes. I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And now I want to take a look at the actual letter module. So I've completed my template. I now want to indicate, right, which of these individuals do I need to send this to? So again, doesn't really matter what tab you're on, that letter is on the right-hand side under SCOM. So I'm going to come in and put in a new letter. And let's do that documentation request. We just did that one. Again, there's that meeting invitation as well, just from my templates. And now I'm looking for my individual. So I'm just doing a search here to pull up any individual. So maybe I'm looking for Miss Olivia Campbell. I can select her name. And what this is doing, it gives you kind of a message here, but you're seeing this is pulling from the contacts. And if anyone doesn't know where those contacts are, I'd be happy to show you guys, but it's really pulling from that individual demographic form. And Sylvia Campbell is listed as a parent on that contact section of the IDF, which is why I'm seeing this as a recipient's option. I can also include staff who have access to this individual. So maybe I want to make, a few of the DSPs or the nurse or colleagues or whatever it may be, let Gretchen know that this documentation request has been put in. I could certainly include any staff if I want to. It's optional. You do not have to do this. So I'm going to create my letter. So the letter date is populating as today's date. And of course, that template and individual is pulling from that information I just chose. This recipient detail, again, pulling from that demographic form, and I'll show you guys where that is. So it's just pulling from that address and that contact's name here, but certainly could make edits to this if needed. So I'm indicating that this is a documentation request. And since I put in that dear recipient and dear individual in those kind of quotations, that's why I'm seeing their names populating here. So just again, kind of some shortcuts to make it a little bit easier on you. I can indicate the font size here. So maybe I just want to do 12-point font. So here's the content that I'm editing, that custom content. So again, there's that fixed content, and it's a bit confusing because you're thinking, I thought you indicated the fixed content comes first. It will, it's just kind of the way this is flowing on this screen. So I'll point that out to you guys. So maybe the forms that we need are photo release form. Maybe we need, I'm not very creative today. We're just going to stick with the photo release form. Again, that closing, you can see that fixed content, not editable. Again, that's that section that you do not want people to edit or change who have access to the letter module. That closing, so again, can make edits to that if needed. And then I sign this as, right, in that parentheses, kind of that user. So it's pulling my name and title since I'm the one logged in. I can also include an enclosure here. So a file, maybe if I have a photo release form in my documents here that I want to just, pull up and attach and say, this is the exact form we want, certainly could do that here if needed. I do have CC. So if I need to indicate who else is copied on this, I could certainly come in and say, okay, I want to make sure that Gretchen is checked off. So let me find Gretchen's name, or Shay, the Q, CCing kind of some different users here. You also have CC other. So if they're not a user in your system, you don't have anyone to pull from here. Maybe their doctor or a nurse or whatever it may be, support coordinator or something like that. You could certainly include them here. So again, kind of just indicating the specifics of this for the different individuals here. I'm going to save this. And this gives you kind of it just automatically puts it in draft. It gives me kind of a sample of what this is going to look like. So again, sending who this is being sent to, that documentation request. Records indicate we need this information. Please, send it here. And then who is being CC'd. So I can print this letter, or I can print this with letterhead. So this is just kind of giving me nothing at the top here, just the pure kind of letter information here. I don't know why it gave me an extra page, but have that extra page if you need it. As well as the print letter with letterhead, excuse me. So there I can see that letterhead that I added into those provider preferences. So this is going to be left in draft status, you can see at the top. And certainly one thing that's really helpful is that you can mark this as sent. So essentially you print this off, you want to send this via mail, you want to attach the actual document, print this off, mail it off to them, and then you can come in and mark this as sent. So again, really just kind of helping you keep track of those different letter templates, generating them, giving you the ability to mark them as sent so you can run reports to indicate what has been sent and what hasn't. I'm going to actually hop into a different demo account here because I want to show you a few more examples. I know there are some in another account. So I'm just going to hop in here on that admin tab, looking at that letter template, just so you can kind of get some more ideas here. So here's one for COVID-19 preparedness. Again, so giving recipients or individuals information in regards to precautions or guidelines that were taken during, the time frame of the pandemic, and adding in any site-specific information. So that would, I think, excellent use of the letter module. I'm going to go back here and show you, here's one for like an annual event, such as a picnic. And the custom content, they're indicating that, maybe depending upon where it is each year, you can indicate directions, the address, locations, what people might need to bring, weather forecast. So again, kind of just some different examples of what this could be used for. Here's a day program holiday closure. So indicating what that holiday is, what the dates are. And you can see here, this one only has custom content. So a bit different. Maybe it's just one of those things where it just really could vary depending upon the content. So you want to give that the ability to make that customizable. So I'm going to go back here and certainly on this admin tab, can pull up those templates, add in new templates, or of course can do a search here. So if I wanted to see, from a certain date range, what has been, marked as sent, what's still in the drafts, maybe I want to just kind of do an open-ended search. I'm going to see if we can push this back a little bit farther. So here I can see only one and it's been marked as deleted. We'll hop back into the other one so we can see that one I sent. Agree to my sign up agreement. I'm going to come into letter and search. So maybe we want to see since the first of the year. So here I can see some. Here was one about the annual support meeting for Ashley. It's letting them know when that support meeting is and who to RSVP to.
Margaret?
Yeah.
We have a couple of questions.
Oh, great. Okay, let me take a look at those. Okay, so our first question, is it one by one or can it be created in bulk, say for all day program clients? So great question. As of now, it's just kind of on a one-on-one basis. But certainly a great suggestion if that's something you're interested in seeing. So since it is kind of customizable in the sense that you're indicating who those recipients are, who those individuals are, it's more on a one-on-one basis. So excellent question. The other question that I'm seeing is, will the letter automatically pop up for that individual and recipients? In Therap, can you see if they have read or reviewed it? So excellent, another great question. So in terms of it automatically popping up, this is a bit, I would say is designed, I think more so if you're going to print the letter, if you want to provide like a hard copy of this, let me search for that one that I put in. My internet's telling me that I lost internet. Hopefully I'm still with you guys. So
Margaret, we're not hearing you.
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. I think my internet went out for a moment. My apologies. So the question about will it automatically pop up for the individual and the recipients, it'll pop up in this sense if you mark this as recipient and mark this as individual, it will automatically pop up their name once you've selected that individual. However, that will be what I would consider would be automatically pop up, if that makes sense. It won't show on the to-do tab or anything like that, if that's more so your question. In terms of can you see if they have read or reviewed it? Not as of now. I think another excellent suggestion, I would absolutely love to see that. And just so you guys know, because I'm seeing just hearing some great suggestions here. Any of those in this issue tracking section, or if I scroll all the way down, there is this feedback. You can absolutely put in some suggestions. So we'd love to hear those suggestions, love to hear from you in regards to your thoughts and feedback. So definitely put that in if needed. The next question is asking, does it show up anywhere within the individual homepage? Another excellent question. As of now, no, it does not show on this individual homepage. You will want to do a search or run a report, which we'll take a look at momentarily. So that's another good question. The last one I'm seeing, is it possible to use the individual's address instead of the contact address? That's an excellent question. Let's play around with that to be sure. So if we create this letter without, you could certainly manually put this in here in terms of, excuse me, manually typing in their address. I'm going to go back one more time and go to letter and new. I don't believe there is a way in the recipients section for the individual's name to populate. So I would think your best bet would be, you know, including that individual, and certainly if there is, oh, I guess I didn't choose the right one here. Let's try one more time. So I could certainly include, you know, Bobby might be the relative, but then also include William here. That's an excellent question, though. If you want to provide, I think you're listed as anonymous attendee, but if you want to provide your email address, I'd be happy to follow up with you on that to see if there's potentially a workaround that I'm missing. Great questions. I so appreciate you guys asking those, and let me know if there's anything else you need to clarify. I love hearing the suggestions as well. I'd love to see those submitted if you'd like to submit them. So reports, I know there was a question kind of about those reports. Certainly I can do a search over here and customize kind of what I'm looking to see in this search. Let's see how far back we can take this. Let's try going a year back, see what it does, or a little further than a year. Yep, so you could do over a year, 13-month search if needed. And certainly if you have the export to Excel role, you could export that information to Excel if that's something you're interested in seeing. I know it can be easy to forget, but searches can be excellent reports because you're kind of customizing the content that you'd like to see. Certainly if you only have 3 results, though, might not need to export it to Excel. I do want to point out, though, within the report library, I'm going to click View on that Agency Reports tab. I'm going to look for this letter 1 here. So do want to point out that there is a comprehensive report. I'm going to export that to Excel so you can see that information. Kind of on a small screen here, but you have the ability to see that individual, the recipients, that staff, who sent that, when they created it, when it was marked as sent, what that status is. And so if I wanted to just pop on some filters here, maybe I want to see, you know, only the drafts, and why. Maybe, okay, for what reason did we not send some of these out? Maybe the meeting got rescheduled or canceled, or, you know, whatever it may be. But filters can certainly be your friend when it comes to reporting and seeing this information. I'm not going to save that. So again, that comprehensive report is found within that report library, and that is back on that Agency Reports tab. So I'm going to hop on in. Oops, I just realized I have 2 tabs open, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to scroll down and hop into the help and support tab. And I'm just going to hover over user guides and hop on into letter. So the information that we went through today, creating that letterhead, viewing it, adding, creating the letter templates, adding the letterhead, creating the letters, marking them as sent, all here again with another webinar that was done. So certainly a fairly easy to use module, which is why you're seeing kind of a simple workflow, simple user guides here, not too difficult to use. But certainly do appreciate your suggestions in terms of what we've heard in the chats today. Are there any other questions? That's really everything I needed to show today in terms of creating the templates, accessing the templates, some different ideas, how to add that letterhead, creating them, searching them. The only other thing I think I did not point out to you guys, and I'll go back on that admin tab, is if I come to my list, I can always just select any of these that I need to discontinue. So again, if I don't need those anymore, want to mark those as discontinued, could certainly do that if I need to. If there aren't any other questions, I'm going to let you guys go early today. I so appreciate you guys sitting in on the webinar today. I know we got some email addresses, I think from Lindsay, so we'll definitely get in touch with you in regards to that. This webinar will also be posted on our help and support site. So thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. We hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Connie.